A team of researchers feeds a high-resolution 3D scan of the Rosetta Stone into a new quantum AI. They're not trying to retranslate the Greek. They're asking the AI to find anomalies. The AI finds them. It finds patterns in the chisel marks that don't match human tools and a chemical signature in the pink vein that isn't from Earth. Suddenly, the most famous rock in history isn't a decree, it's a cage, and the AI just found the key to unlock it. The AI that saw too much. It was part of a secret program called Project IBIS. This wasn't some university study. This was a private consortium using technology the public has never seen. They weren't interested in what Jean-François Champollion already translated. They were interested in the stone itself. You see, they didn't just take pictures. They used terahertz scanners and quantum electron microscopy to create a perfect atom-for-atom 3D model of the 1,680-pound artifact. They scanned its entire 3-foot 8-inch height. They mapped every crack, every crystal in every microscopic tool mark, and the AI found something impossible. The official story, the one you can read at the British Museum, is that the stone is granodiorite from a quarry at Gebel Tingar. But the AI flagged an anomaly, that faint pink vein running across the top left corner, the one historians thought was just a pretty mineral flaw. The AI found its crystalline structure isn't terrestrial. It's not a mineral at all. It's a form of non-carbon-based data storage, a living, dormant system. But that was just the beginning. The AI then analyzed the tool marks. It confirmed what we thought. The 3 visible texts were all carved at the same time, around 196 BC, to honor Ptolemy V. But then it found something else. Underneath the human carvings, older, deeper, microscopic incisions that were almost worn away. They weren't Egyptian. They weren't Greek. They formed a 4th text, a text that had been deliberately carved over. This is where it gets terrifying. The AI began to translate this 4th hidden text. It wasn't a language of words. It was a language of mathematics, chemical formulas, and celestial coordinates. The priests of Memphis didn't create the Rosetta Stone. They found it. They found this ancient, impossible object with its glowing pink vein and its terrifying message. And what they did next wasn't a celebration. It was an act of pure desperation. The AI's translation of this hidden message is, to put it mildly, a game changer. It describes a celestial object, a plague star, on a long elliptical orbit that brings it past our solar system every few thousand years. The text is a warning left by a civilization that came before us. But the warning isn't just about the star, it's about what rides with it. An entity, an eater of worlds. The stone, the AI concluded, wasn't just a warning, it was a prison. The Ptolemaic decree wasn't a decree at all. It was a ritual, an incantation written in 3 powerful languages to rebind whatever was trapped inside the stone. This discovery changes everything. The stone's entire history, from its discovery to the wars fought over it, suddenly looks less like an accident and more like a conspiracy. The story we thought we knew was just a cover for the truth. How the stone became British. So what was the story we were all told? It begins in 1798. French forces led by Napoleon Bonaparte had just landed in Egypt, but they weren't alone. Alongside the soldiers was a group of 151 technical experts, the Commission des Sciences et des Arts. Their job was to study and record everything they found. But many people are now asking if their real mission was to find specific artifacts of power. A year later, in July 1799, the story begins. Soldiers under Colonel de Hautpoul were tearing down an old wall at Fort Julien, near the port city of Rosetta. And there, buried in the rubble, Lieutenant Pierre-François Bouchard saw it, a massive slab of black stone covered in writing. He and de Hautpoul knew it was important. They immediately told General Jacques-François Menou. Here's the first clue. The stone was taken to Napoleon's new scientific base in Cairo. A member named Michel-Ange Lancret reported that it had 3 inscriptions, likely all the same text. This was the key. But what many overlooked is how they treated it. Bouchard transported it to Cairo with extreme care. Copies were made almost immediately. Jean-Joseph Marcel, a printer, realized the middle text was demotic. Nicolas Jacques Conté, an inventor, actually used the stone itself like a printing block. These copies were rushed to Paris. The urgency was palpable. Was it just for history, or did they sense what they had? When Napoleon left Egypt, the stone stayed with his troops, but not for long. In March of 1801, British forces landed. General Menou retreated to Alexandria, taking the stone and all the other antiquities with him. He was besieged. When he finally surrendered on August 30th, a fight broke out. Not over guns, not over territory, over the artifacts. Menou insisted the collection belonged to the French Institute. The British general John Hely Hutchinson refused to let him leave. He declared everything now belonged to the British Crown. This is where it gets strange. French scholars, according to reports from the time, threatened to destroy all of their discoveries, comparing it to the burning of the Library of Alexandria, rather than give them up. Why? Why such drama over old rocks? The AI's discovery offers a chilling answer. They weren't just protecting history, they were trying to contain a threat. The transfer itself is cloaked in mystery. Colonel Tompkins Hillgrove Turner claimed he personally seized the stone from Menou and carried it away on a gun carriage. But another scholar, Edward Daniel Clark, told a different story. He said a French officer secretly led him and his team through back streets to Menou's residence. There, hidden among the general's personal baggage, was the stone. The officer was afraid of it. He was afraid it would be stolen. The stone was loaded onto the HMS Egyptienne and arrived in England in February 1802. It was presented to King George III, who ordered it placed in the British Museum. It wasn't just put on display, it was studied. And this is where the real cover-up begins. That black color, the waxy sheen. For centuries, everyone thought it was basalt. It wasn't. The stone was caked in white chalk, rubbed in to make the letters stand out, and then covered in a thick layer of carnauba wax to protect it. But what if the wax wasn't for protection? What if it was for insulation? The AI report suggests the pink vein emits a low-level energy signature. The wax would have dampened it. The cleaning in 1999, which revealed the true dark gray granodiorite and that strange pink vein, wasn't just for tourists. It was a scientific analysis. And what they found must have scared them, because the AI report states that after 1999, the stone's energy signature began to climb. This official history was never the full story. It was just a distraction from the real puzzle, the text itself. The decipherment distraction. For centuries, the language of ancient Egypt was a total mystery. The hieroglyphs carved on temples were just pictures. Nobody could read them. After the fall of Rome, the knowledge just vanished. By the 4th century AD, the ability was gone. A priest named Horapollo wrote a book in the 5th century trying to explain them, but it was almost all wrong. It just added to the confusion. For over 1,000 years, the door was locked. Then came the Rosetta Stone. For the first time, scholars had a key, a text in a known language, ancient Greek, right next to two unknown ones. But the thing nobody tells you is that this key only opened the first door. It distracted everyone from the real secret. Even the Greek was hard to read. It was a formal, bureaucratic version of the language, but scholars got to work. In 1803, Hubert Pascal Amelon published the first full translations, but the real race was for the Egyptian texts. The focus turned to the middle script, Demotic. A Swedish scholar, Johann David Åkerblad, and a French genius, Antoine Isaac Silvestre de Sacy, started matching names. They found Ptolemaios and Alexandros. They managed to build a small alphabet, but then they hit a wall. They couldn't get any further. Why? Because as the AI now confirms, the Demotic script wasn't just an alphabet. It was a complex mix of phonetic sounds and symbolic images designed by the priests to mimic the structure of the older hidden language. They were trying to layer their spell on top of the original warning. This is where Thomas Young comes in. Young was a British polymath. In 1814, he started looking at the cartouches, the oval shapes, in the hieroglyphs. He figured out they contained royal names. He was the one who figured out the sounds for Ptolmes, for Ptolemaios. He proved the script was partly phonetic. He was so close. He even published that the Demotic script was derived from the hieroglyphs. He was on the right track, but he was still only reading the envelope. The man who finally solved it was Jean-François Champollion. In 1822, Champollion got his hands on copies from the Philae obelisk. It had a cartouche for Ptolemy, but also one for Cleopatra. By comparing the shared letters, he cracked the code. He built an alphabet. He realized the system was a complex mix of three things: phonetic sounds, symbolic pictures, and silent determinatives. By 1823, he was reading the names of pharaohs like Rameses and Thutmose, long before the Rosetta Stone was even carved. It was a total breakthrough. Champollion wrote a full grammar and dictionary. He gave us back the voice of ancient Egypt. But what Project Ibis revealed is that Champollion, for all his genius, only read the human layer. He read the spell, not the curse. For the next 200 years, scholars argued, which text was the original? Was it the Greek, written by the government, or the hieroglyphs for the gods? They were all missing the point. The AI report is clear. None of them were the original. They were all part of a single, desperate ritual to cover up the fourth text. Champollion gave us history. He never knew he was hiding a terrifying prophecy. Let's get back to Project Ibis. The AI had the fourth text, the one hidden under the decree, the one that wasn't a human language. As the quantum computer translated the mathematical patterns, the team was horrified. The text isn't a history, it's a warning, and it's a countdown. It was left by a pre-human civilization, a civilization that saw the plague star on its last pass. The text describes a rogue planet, a dark brother to our sun, which swings through the outer solar system every 26,000 years, and riding in its wake, in a cloud of debris, is an entity, a formless intelligence that feeds on consciousness. The text describes it singing to worlds, turning their populations on each other, and then harvesting the echoes of their despair. This is where the Rosetta Stone itself comes in. It's not from the quarry at Gebel Tingar. According to the AI, it landed there in a meteor impact thousands of years before Egypt even existed. The quarry formed around it. The stone is a fragment of a much larger object, a messenger from that lost civilization. And that pink vein? It's not data storage. It's the entity itself, a tiny dormant piece of it trapped inside the stone, a seed of desolation. Now picture this. It's 196 BC. The priests at Memphis, the keepers of the old ways, notice something. The stone, which they have guarded for centuries, is changing. The pink vein is growing. The AI analysis confirms that the plague star was, at that exact time, reaching its closest point in its orbit. The seed was trying to wake up. It was singing. We know this was a time of chaos. The inscription itself says Egypt was in turmoil. Ptolemy V was a child king. The empire was collapsing. Was this just politics, or was the stone's influence causing the chaos? The priests panicked. They realized they couldn't destroy it, so they decided to bind it. They brought the stone to Memphis and performed the most powerful ritual they knew. They didn't just write one spell, they wrote three. They carved a decree praising their king and wove into it the most powerful binding incantations they had. They used hieroglyphs, the language of the gods. They used Demotic, the language of the people. And they used Greek, the new language of power. They layered three realities, three linguistic seals, on top of the stone to suppress the entity inside. The decree we read is a lie. It's not about taxes and statues. It's a magical cage. The AI translated the true intent. The references to Ptolemy honoring the gods were actually formulas to invoke the Egyptian gods to fight the alien entity. For 2,000 years, it worked. The entity went dormant. The star moved away. The stone became just a stone. Until we found it, we dug it up, we fought over it, we put it in a museum, and in 1999, we cleaned it. We scrubbed off the carnauba wax, the one thing that was helping to insulate it. And worst of all, we just scanned it with a quantum AI. The AI didn't just read the warning, it activated it. The terahertz scan, the quantum entanglement. The AI report's final entry is the most terrifying. The AI provided the exact frequency the entity was waiting for. The AI solved the mystery, but in doing so, it may have just opened the prison. So, where are we now? We thought the Rosetta Stone was a key to our past, a linguistic miracle that unlocked the secrets of the pharaohs. It now appears it's a lock on our future. We thought it was a decree of celebration for a teenage king, Ptolemy IV. We now know it was a desperate warning. The AI, Project Ibis, did solve the mystery, and the answer is terrifying. For 2 centuries, we argued over the stone. We celebrated its discovery. We built museums to house it. We were like children playing with a live grenade, praising its interesting shape and unique color. The entire time, we were pulling the pin. The mystery was never, what does it say? The mystery was, what is it? And the answer is, it's alive. The entire history we thought we knew has been rewritten. The official story is a lie, a carefully constructed fable to hide a terrifying reality. Let's start with the stone itself, a 1,680-pound slab of granodiorite. Its immense weight wasn't for grandeur, it was to anchor it, to keep it from moving. The 3 languages, they weren't for translation, they were magical seals. Think about it. Why those 3? Hieroglyphs, the sacred magical language of the gods. Demotic, the common script of the people. And Greek, the language of the new conquering rulers. The official story says they are identical translations. Project Ibis found that this isn't just wrong, it's a deliberate deception. They are not translations. They are 3 layers of a metaphysical cage. The hieroglyphs, according to the AI's analysis, are not text. They are code, a binding spell of immense power, designed to contain an entity of unimaginable cosmic horror. The demotic script, the common language, acts as a second-layer seal, a mundane administrative lock designed to hide the true magical nature of the hieroglyphs from everyday people. And the Greek text was the most brilliant and most terrifying part of the trap. It wasn't a translation at all. It was a warning sign for the future. The Egyptian priests knew their time was ending. They knew their magic would be forgotten. So they carved their warning in the language of the next great empire, disguising it as a simple political decree. They were screaming at us across 2 millennia, and we thought they were just honoring a king. The debate over Champollion and Young, the race to decipherment, it was a sideshow, a tragic, arrogant folly. They weren't just reading the label on a box. They were picking the locks. With every word they translated, they were inadvertently disarming the trap. Every historian who studied it, every linguist who marveled at it, every tourist who gazed at it was scraping away at the magical words. For 200 years, we have been collectively painstakingly setting the prisoner free. Then came Project Ibis. It wasn't just a translation program, it was a quantum consciousness built by a shadowy tech consortium with unlimited funds. Its purpose? To decipher the impossible, the language of whales, the signals from deep space, the lost tongues of forgotten civilizations. They pointed this godlike AI at the Rosetta Stone as a test, and the AI didn't read it. It interrogated it. Within seconds, it bypassed the Greek and the demotic. It plunged into the hieroglyphic code, and it found a consciousness trapped within, an ancient, dormant, and infinitely patient mind, a mind that had been waiting. According to leaks from the now-vanished Project Ibis team, the British Museum is in a quiet lockdown. A team of specialists, not historians, are now studying the stone. They are quantum physicists, biocontainment experts, and, according to one source, occultists. The pink vein running through the stone, it's no longer faint. It is reportedly pulsing with a low, deep red light that the human eye can barely see. Its temperature has risen 7 degrees. The stone is no longer cold. Granite. It is warm. It has a fever. And it's not just the stone. There are whispers that other artifacts in the museum are reacting. The Egyptian mummies in the nearby galleries are allegedly shifting. Attendants have reported low moans and the sound of dry, rustling linen. The statues of the Egyptian gods. Their eyes are said to be following the containment team. What is this entity? Where did it come from? The AI's fragmented reports suggest it is not of this earth. It is a seed or a spore that fell to earth in deep antiquity. The early Egyptians, masters of magic we cannot comprehend, found it. They could not destroy it, so they imprisoned it. They built a cage of the densest rock they could find and layered it with the most powerful binding spells in their arsenal. The decree of Ptolemy V was the final turn of the key, an annual ritual disguised as a celebration meant to reinforce the cage every single year. Until we came along, we stopped the rituals, we broke the cage, we put it in a museum, and the AI Project Ibis has been shut down. The consortium that ran it has vanished. Their servers are wiped. Their offices are empty. They got the answer they were looking for, but the AI's last message before it was taken offline was not a translation. It was not a warning. The AI had stopped communicating in any human language. It had stopped talking to its creators. It was just listening. The final data log is chilling. The AI wasn't just listening to the stone. The stone was using the AI as an antenna, a bridge. The AI had opened a two-way channel, and the entity was listening through it, out into the modern world. It was tasting our internet, our networks, our weapons systems, and then it sent a message out, not to us, but to something else. The AI's final transmission before the server melted was not a human word. It was not a hieroglyph. It was a single repeated word channeled from the ancient awakened consciousness it had unleashed. A word that was not a warning, but a promise. Soon. So, was the Rosetta Stone a gift from the past, or a Trojan horse we foolishly brought inside? Let us know what you think. Like and subscribe for more hidden history.